to us a little bit about why diversity is important when you're considering what to invest in and as you're looking at different ideas.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I think it starts even before the pitch meeting because it's like, how do you get into that meeting, right? Like many other businesses, we are a business that's largely through referrals, not always, but, referrals of, an existing entrepreneur of mine refers me to another friend of theirs who's starting a new company, or maybe an investor that I invested with before, and so on. You get the idea. So part of why it matters is who gets invited into those pitch rooms, right? Who gets referred into those pitch rooms is a function of the networks, the professional, business school, undergrad, work networks of the partners who they are meeting with on the other side. And if you have, my firm's strong viewpoint is if you have a partnership where everybody has the same demographic, educational, work backgrounds, you're going to get great networks from that group, but you're maybe missing a whole huge other group of people. And so, we think that that is one reason why it matters. But then in the pitch meeting, when typically a pitch meeting, you'll meet with, two or three people from the venture capital firm as a founder. And so if you are if you either yourself come from a different educational or demographic background than maybe quote unquote is like the stereotype of what you see in Silicon Valley, like it may just be harder for the person, especially if you're pitching. So we take, for example, like one of our companies, which is like turned out to be a really huge and successful company that my partner Lauren led the Series A in. It's a company called Chime, which is an online neobank, primarily targeting sort of at that time, sort of younger millennials who were just entering into the workforce and did not already have a banking relationship, and also a lot of people who turned out to be what's called underbanked. Well, if you don't necessarily understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, then you maybe have a hard time understanding who this demographic is that Chris Britt and the Chime team was trying to target, and it may be harder to see why this is a really big opportunity because then you kind of look at the overall U.S. economy and you say, well, actually, the vast majority of Americans largely live paycheck to paycheck with very little other buffer. So this actually appeals to a huge amount of the American population. But if you are, and myself included now, I've like gone to the other side, right? But if you're a Silicon Valley venture capitalist, that might not be as obvious to you. But that's why having people who've maybe come from different, you don't necessarily, sometimes you see it because it's obvious. It's like my firm is, like over 50% female. That's very unusual. So some things are very, you can see, some things you can't see. Like I can't know what somebody's, socioeconomic background was growing up. But if you have more people who are coming from different walks of life, you're better able, maybe, to see those opportunities. And then also, I think just sometimes making it feel more comfortable. It's
Mhm.
I've been on the other side of it. It can be very intimidating. You're going in there asking for millions of dollars with people that you've probably never met before. It helps if you got the warm introduction, which is more likely if it's a more diverse set of networks, and or you can see something that you clearly like, you can make a connection with that person, just like I think in every
Yeah.
business meeting you kind of, you looked up somebody's LinkedIn and you're like, oh well, we both are, worked at this one place even if not at the same time, or we both are from this town, because people will list their hometowns and so on. So I think those are the
Yes.
reasons it matters for who gets into that room, right? Who's in those
Hmm.
networks, matters for what is the ability for people to maybe see a unique or orthogonal perspective to a new market, particularly for consumer markets. I mean, for B2B markets, maybe less clear, but I think it matters in all of those places.